Okay, so let's just figure out how to get this done here. Share, Gmail, almost there. Okay, so I'm going to just blither for a few minutes while I wait for people to move on over. It's unfortunate that we had this issue. However, I will answer the questions from here that are still here, and then we'll go. So let's see here. Okay, I was yelling at my screen, not while he's talking to me. It won't let me go back online. Gotta love tech. Okay, those are all my comments. I'm sure that's wonderful. Okay, so let's continue. If you have questions, just blast them out now on the new one. Unfortunately, this second live will be on the website as well, or it'll be on the YouTube channel also. I just realized that it will do that, so that's good. I'm just going to, oh, okay, here we go. Okay, so let's see. It looks like I answered all of the questions more or less, and we kind of have made up. We recovered from our little YouTube snafu. I'm going to try to see, I think this probably happened because I'm using the YouTube channel for the chat and I'm using my phone for the camera. I'm going to try to figure out for next month exactly how to use the camera on my computer. For whatever reason, I set up the YouTube live and it didn't show up on the computer, so I couldn't join it from the computer or start it from the computer. It was very, very strange. Maybe I set the call up on my phone and that's why it's not showing up on my computer. I really don't know. At any rate, I will figure it out for next time and I do apologize. So let's see here. Okay. Are there any questions or comments or anything else that I can get to while I am still here? I'll give you folks a chance to type them in, and then I'm more than happy to answer them. Now, what I'm going to do, however, is let's talk about maybe some of the other reasons. Okay, chat looks new. Did we lose all the comments? Yeah, unfortunately, YouTube didn't let, I had to restart my video. And when I disconnected the video on my phone, it ended the actual call. So it didn't let me rejoin, which was kind of silly because I never, set it to finish. Very strange. At any rate, I did answer all the questions. So any questions you had from before, you're welcome to review review. I guess that's the origin. You're welcome to review the previous video. This video should be live on my channel as well. I just call it continuing. So people should be able to understand. And I'm sure when they get cut off watching the initial video, they'll figure out that they have to come here. So Craig is asking, okay, that is interesting because your comment flew up and then it disappeared on me. So I have to now see if I can somehow find the questions. Otherwise, it's going to be very tough on me here. Let's see. Ah, there we go. I missed the part where you were talking about image viewing. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, wait a minute. I bet that's it. Okay. All right. Talking about the new system, can you review? Okay. So basically, that's a new system. It's called Vi. I'll let out the name, okay? Because you're going to vie to be your best with it. And it's actually an anagram. It stands for something. I don't want to give away too much, so that's all you're going to get. But basically, you'll be, for the purposes of the test, you're going to be watching and listening for 3 minutes roughly, at least 5 times a day. You can do it on your computer, on your phone, tablet, whatever. And that will actually allow you to be able to get the effects, hopefully. I've noticed in my own testing, because I've done some testing initially, that it's quite impressive, the results that it brings. It also adds a new dimension to the Morey method technologies, in that marks the, well, not really the first time, because I had years ago something called a semi-subliminal system, which I toyed with for a while, but it didn't seem to do much, so I kind of let it go by the wayside. But it marks introduction for me into a visual field and using a form of visual entrainment as well. I'm also working on other new styles of stimulation as well. You know how pulse tones bring about the entrainment effect. Well, I'm working on some technologies that allow me to create pulse tones from spoken word and from ambient music and things like that. So I'm going to be doing a lot of beta testing over the next year and a half, once I get past this new launch for the cognitive decline issue program, and we'll go from there. But as long as you're on my list of songs, and I do know that some of you, get a little sick, inundated with all the products that we offer, but please understand, it's, nobody gets more spam email and more, not that this is spam because you've signed up, but, more email than I do. And it only takes me a few minutes to get through it. I get about 700 emails a day, out of which maybe 150 are legitimate as far as things I'm interested in. They're all more or less legitimate because I'm on people's lists, but the ones that I'm not interested in at the time, I just delete through. It takes me a few minutes. It's really not a big deal. However, I understand that it can be an issue for some of you, but let me explain to you why we do what we do. The reason why we send these emails is that, and you notice I have a variety of different systems. Some of them are different types of stimulation, some of them have different purposes. So people on our list aren't all exactly the same. So everybody doesn't need the same thing all the time. I realize for you, it seems like you're getting a lot of email, and you are. But the ones that are relevant to you may not be relevant to other people. So we need to make sure we're relevant to everybody all the time. And that's why we send all these emails. You'll notice we're not just pummeling you with ads for quantum mind power 24/7, 7 days a week, 31 days a month, 365 days a year. We have these different products, because what resonates with you may not resonate with someone else. So that's the reason for that. And hopefully that allows you to have a little patience with us, okay, when it comes to these kinds of things. So I see I lost a bunch of people in the transition. I guess they thought that it was over or something, but we do have a few people still. Okay, so for the beta test, you just need to be around when I make the request. There'll probably be a two or three question questionnaire that I ask, and as long as you qualify, as long as you're right for the test, we'll include you. I unfortunately won't be including a ton of people. I'll be including between 15 to 25 people normally, because that's a manageable number, as well as the fact that it will cost something to be a beta tester. Okay, it will cost to be a beta tester. And the reason why it costs to be a beta tester is very simple. Because I'm going to refund you all the money. See, isn't that easy? I'm going to refund you all the money. And the reason I'm going to do that is I need you to fill out reports for me on a weekly basis for 6 weeks. And then at the end of that, 2 or 3 paragraphs, just as for an overall feel. Once that is done, I refund you your money, and you get to keep the product for free, the final product. Now, please keep in mind with Vi, this is not a product that you can distribute. Actually, none of the ones that I give in beta you can distribute, and you will be getting the final copy. So I would suggest you, when you get the final copies, you delete the betas, because the final will be refined. Okay. So fortunately, I put the link that I copied into the chat, in the previous chat, into my browser, and now I can see all your questions again. So that's good. So let me see here. Okay. From what I just said, I should be able to see the other video, right? Yes, the other video, if that's what you're talking about, Craig, it's automatically saved to YouTube. So actually, let me just go to YouTube now on my browser, because we have a nice intimate group of a few people here, so we can check. And yes, it shows continuing live now, and it's called continuing, so that's good. And I will confirm that the first video is there. Yes, yes. The first video went for 25 minutes and 46 seconds, and it's dated the Morey Method Monthly Support November 2018. And then the next one, which we're live on right now, is called Continuing. So that will be the continuation to this. It's nice that we were able. You see, this is what I love about my stuff, and I hate to say this, but I'm going to be my own testimonial right now. Many people would have freaked out when this screwed up. Hey, many people would have freaked out when they couldn't figure out how to get the video live on the computer. I didn't. It's like time is ticking away, and I'm hearing the Mission Impossible tune, dun 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 dun, dun. And it's getting all dramatic for me, and I'm having a ton of fun figuring this out. So it was pretty cool. So this stuff actually is very helpful for patients and for you deal things happen. And quite frankly, the best advertising for me was how I acted and reacted to when the thing died here. And I want to thank you all for coming back. I see there's 5 people back here again. That's terrific. I'm happy that you stuck with me here, and I appreciate it. Okay, so let me see here. I'd like to be considered for the beta test. I've been using these types of things for many years, in addition to being a programmer for almost 48 years. Well, Craig, it sounds like you could probably be part of the beta test. Obviously, people who are on these calls have probably a better chance because they're more aware. And when they see the email, they're less likely to delete it. Okay, so let's see. Again, PhD stuff was a sideshow because I loved personal growth. Worked with John David, the PhD who created photosonic light and sound machine, as well as Paul Sheely briefly. Love this stuff. Well, that's pretty amazing. That's at mindalive.com. And Paul Sheely actually was an inspiration for my triliminals because I believe he's the creator of paraliminals, is he not? And despite the fact that paraliminals didn't really do anything for me, they did inspire me that they were on the right track and allowed me to create that as well. So that's terrific. Hey, thank you for rejoining us, Ancient Love Me. That's very nice. Yes, I have seen show host freak. Yeah. Well, my freaking is laughing at myself and loving how I deal with pressure. Because what are you going to do? I mean, if it craps out on me, it craps out on me. Hopefully, it's not going to crap out again. But if it does, at least we have something that we can do this time to recover from it. So thank you. And you know what? I love these little challenges. When I get interviewed, and Jim, you know this, when I get interviewed, I do not like knowing what I'm going to get asked. And I don't know how many of you have been interviewed out there or know the process, but often when someone does an interview, especially a podcast, they want you to give them a list of questions. I will routinely tell people, I prefer not to know what you're going to ask, and feel free to ask difficult questions because, a lot of times when you do these kinds of calls and you're being interviewed, people are hawking my wares. Oh, by the way, you can go to our page here and buy this product at this link. And, we get a commission, they get a commission, everybody gets a commission, and the user gets a nice product. So everybody wins. But it's important to me to point out that that isn't, the point. When you tune into these shows, and often it's not just me being interviewed, there's like 20 or 30 other people at various other points. It must be getting really annoying to you all to be hearing people saying nothing but beautiful things. Oh, you're brilliant. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, blah, blah, blah. I want to get asked some difficult questions sometimes. There have been times I've been asked questions that I just didn't know the answer to. And you know what? I scratched my head. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't know. I'm happy to see if I can find out and answer you at a later time, but I don't know. It's okay to not know. As a matter of fact, not knowing gives birth to everything that I've created and everything anyone's created. If you know something, you don't make an effort to understand it. If you don't know it, that's when you make the effort to understand. So not knowing is not a bad thing. It's not an insult. It doesn't make you stupid. It actually makes you better prepared to be smart and better prepared to be happy and better prepared to be anything you want to be, quite frankly. So, okay, I know it doesn't look like I'm on a box, billowing out towards the world, but I'll get off my soapbox now and see what else was said here. Okay. All right. Yes, I have all the paraliminals too. Okay, I'm done monopolizing your time. Thanks for the answers. Hey, that's okay, Craig. You know what? This is a nice intimate gathering. If you have more comments or questions, feel free. And those of you that are out there, I want to reiterate what I said in the previous iteration of this call before we got so rudely interrupted by technology crapping all over me, is that, or over all of us actually, is that if you are inspired to share something, to say something, to ask something, do it. Part of self-improvement is taking action. The biggest part of self-improvement is taking action. So I want you to honor your desire. There's no such thing as a stupid question. If you don't want me to say your name, but you still want to know something because you think it's embarrassing, then just write at the beginning of your comment, hey, don't say who I am, just read my question, please. And I'll do that. Okay, I'm not here to embarrass you. I'm here to embarrass me. Okay, so let's see here. What is the image viewing news system? Okay, again, I can't give too much of that away, Ancient Love Me, but I can tell you that it is a new form of entrainment that's never been done before anywhere. What else is new? Previous recording systems to inspire my creative juices to create new ones. Keep in mind that these things aren't better than what I've come up with in the past. They are simply different. They will appeal to certain people. They won't appeal to others. That's one of the reasons why I like having so many different types of systems. They allow more people to be helped because more people will resonate with one or the other or another. So at any rate, it uses images. It's called Vi. And it uses a new form of stimulation, a new form of entrainment that's never been used before. Well, from today, it's been used before because I came up with this a little while ago and I've been developing it. But not, you'll get to try it soon. I promise. I promise. Okay. So let's see. I hate letting the guest know what's coming because I feel very limited. Yeah, Jim, that's so true. I prefer, for better or for worse, and sometimes it's for worse, to be quite honest with you, to be my honest, true self. I am a human being, just like you are, just like everybody else is. And you know what? It's not insulting or embarrassing to say the wrong thing or to, or to just not know what you're going to say next or how to say something or what the right answer is. Most of us have an opinion, like something else we all have too. And the truth of the matter is, it's just an opinion. It's a thought. I encourage anyone who agrees or disagrees with anything I say to celebrate that. And even if you agree with something I say, don't just agree with what I say. Take it within yourself. Reinterpret it within your own experience. And then decide whether it makes sense for you or not. Because, even the big self-improvement experts out there, the ones with the giant names who are billionaires and they have big cars and big houses and all that other stuff. It's all very nice, but the truth is they can only be an expert in themselves. And this is probably one of the reasons why I had to create my own systems, because I realized that no matter how smart they are, no matter how great they cannot possibly know my circumstances. Their systems cannot possibly work for me if I follow them verbatim, if I follow them word for word. That's when I realized you have to take what they say, you have to take it in, you have to reinterpret it, reimagine it within your own frame of reference, your own experience set, your own upbringing, your own belief systems. And from there, act if you decide to act still on it. That's when you act on it. If you act on what somebody lays out as a blueprint for you on what to do, it's likely not going to work for you because you're not them. That's why That's one of the big secrets to self-improvement. Not, you know, my stuff allows you to come up with your own, but for other people's things, I'm not saying if you're resonating with them, don't use them. I'm saying the missing link for their products are probably that you need to do this. You need to reinterpret, reimagine, and then decide whether you should act on it once you've made it your own. The truth is, you know, if I give you a hammer and a ton of wood and nails and stain and plans and everything, I can give it to two different people, the same thing, and come back into their backyard 3 months later, and one of them has built a beautiful deck or gazebo, you know, maybe a hot tub. Invite me over, by the way. And the other one has a pile of wood with animals living underneath it. You can have a tool, but unless you decide to do something with that tool, and unless you use those tools properly, they cannot possibly have an effect. What does that mean? That means that you are the one who makes yourself better. You're always the one who makes yourself better. If you want to thank someone else, or you want to thank me for coming up with one of my products or one of their products, or whatever, that's nice. Go ahead and do that. It's nice to be appreciated. It's nice to be, you know, to have gratitude. But put yourself number one, because if you didn't use it in the first place, nothing would have happened. It would have just gathered dust and small furry woodlands creatures, what I was speaking about earlier. So there you go. Okay, so we've been going at this about 45, 47 minutes so far, between the two different iterations here. I'm happy to keep this going longer. Would you like me to? Do you have any questions or comments or anything that you'd like to share? Or would you like me just to blither on for another 15 minutes or so with some examples, with some experiences that might be helpful? I see Craig. Thank you very much, Craig. I appreciate your being here and being so verbose. I have found that intention and expectation are huge in determining what results you get. Yeah, you know what? That is so true. That's actually the basis of my suggestions for how to choose recordings when it comes to effortless, you know, success, because you allow your subconscious mind to give you those gut feelings as to whether this is right or wrong. And remember, something that's bad feels bad is even more important than something that feels good. So I agree with you. Intention and expectation are amazing, because when you have true intention and true expectation, that actually allows you to kind of format the path you're going to take. You can take the beat up road with lots of potholes and maybe screw your car up, or you can take the nice newly paved road. And if you choose the nice newly paved road, everything is better. And you can do that. And I know a lot of people say, well, how do you hold on to that intention? And how do you hold on, you know, to the good feelings and the expectations? Especially when things seem to go wrong. Well, first of all, stop interpreting things as wrong or bad, because when you do that, you don't learn from them. They are simply experiences. There is nothing inherently in this world, including death, I might add, that is good or bad. We have to make that decision ourselves. So decide that it's a lesson instead. When you decide it's a lesson, you will learn from it and you will move forward. So you will eventually get what you want, because you are open, because you are learning, and because you understand it's a process. We unfortunately do not live in a world where I can go and it's done. You see, I was thinking I'd have a nice furry head. Where is it? It didn't happen. That's not how the world works, okay? That's not how this existence of ours works. It works differently. Pieces to the puzzle. And what you need to do is, if this is where you're starting and this is the goal, don't wait for here to be happy. Every step along the way is just as important as the last step that gets you to your goal. Be grateful for every single one of those steps and be happy for all of them, and enjoy the ride. There is nothing more enjoyable than working towards something, but also keeping your eyes open. Because I can tell you, in my experience and many of my clients' experience, it's worked this way. If you have an issue, okay, and you decide, okay, for me to be happy, I need to have $1 million. Okay, because I have two friends like this. Okay, or I had. These guys thought Okay, when we have $1 million, we're going to be happy. Well, you know what? They worked really hard and they got $1 million each, and they weren't happy. So they thought, maybe I was off on the math. I need 2 mil. So they got two. Still not happy. 5 mil. I apologize to those of you who've heard this before, by the way. 5 mil, and so on and so forth. They're up into the 15s, 20s, whatever now, and they're still not happy. This is 25, 30 years later, and how much time has been wasted? Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, they own things, they buy things, but they're really not fulfilled. They're really not happy. And that's my point. Instead of deciding what you need to be happy, just decide to be happy and then pay attention to how you feel. Because how you feel will tell you what you need. So if you have a goal in mind, and it's really important for you to remember that, okay? No one knows everything. We all live in the now, whether we agree with that phrase or not. We all live in the now. That's the only possible time physically, quantum physically, the only time you can be living is now. Only time. There's no such thing as the future. There's no such thing as the past. There's only now. Yesterday was the now, then. What's to come will be the now when it gets here. But it's always now. Okay, when I started this tirade, it was now. It's still now. That's how it works. So you need to understand that if you have the right attitude about now, if you're aware of it, things will tend to take care of themselves, especially if you have the right attitude and the right intention and you're grateful. And that's, really what I'm getting about here, when you're grateful. Okay, so let's see. Now, I don't mind going longer, not at all, but I do need your input in order to do that. And Craig is coming through like a superstar for all of you out there. And I see there's like 6 people on here. You should all be, typing away. Don't just be, listeners, or followers, be leaders too. I know you're here for a reason, and I can't imagine that you're here just to hear me yak about what I feel like yakking about. You're here because this is a customer service call, a customer appreciation call. I'm here to help you use my stuff better and hopefully to give you some philosophy, some ideas that you can take into yourself and use to make your life better. See, it's you. You're the one with the power. You're always the one with the power. You've always been the one with the power. The only time you lose power is when you believe you've lost power. Okay? When you stop taking responsibility. Don't give responsibility to me or anybody else to make your life better. Okay? It's not up to me. It's up to you. But if I can inspire you along the way, that's my pleasure. Or anybody else can inspire you, that's their pleasure too, I'm sure. But remember how great it's going to feel when you wake up one day, hopefully now, and you realize, hey, I have all the control in the world. It doesn't matter what my life's like right now, I can choose to make it different. And there's nothing like knowing that kind of power. And you don't even have to have things different yet, just to understand that. It's a general truth. It's a universal truth of the human condition. Whatever your circumstances are now, you can choose to make them different. It's wonderful. Okay, Jim is all questioned out. I'll remember that, Jim, the next time I'm listening to your show and you ask for questions. Okay, also, Craig, what do you think about differing what's each side hears? Left ear to right side of the brain, permissive, is it okay to? Right ear to the left side, command, you are. Okay, the way I have my triliminal set up is they're specifically set up with information to go from the left ear to the right hemisphere, right ear to the left hemisphere, and then there's a voice floating around in the center, which can go both ways. So, interestingly enough, I also have recordings, for instance, in quantum mind power, like Eden energy wave dynamics, or in the quantum confidence system, the main recording, that are dual brainwave recording systems. And I often suggest for people, if they want, they can actually check it out by flipping the headphones around and see how that goes. I had a client who has a condition, believe it or not, where their right ear, because this is the normal path of information, okay? Left ear to the right side, right ear to the left side. That's the normal path, but some people have a condition, I can't remember what it's called right now, where their information doesn't work like that. Left ear to the left side, right ear to the right side. And they actually flip the headphones around to get the normal effect. Okay, so I encourage you to experiment. Take notes, be a scientist, see how you feel. It might be nice to rotate. You can give your brain, the stronger it gets. I look at the brain as a muscle. And the more you use it, entrainment is a great way to use it, the more it can do for you. The stronger it gets, the better it gets, the more striated it gets. People who play musical instruments tend to have more striated brains than people who don't. When I say striated, you look at it, it kind of looks like, when you look at a brain and it kind of looks like a bunch of intestine just wrapped in amongst itself in the shape of a brain. Well, that is more complex in people who speak multiple languages and people who play musical brain. Increase its complexity, thus its power, overall ability. And that I find really interesting. I can tell you, I've been using this stuff regularly for decades now. And it's amazing. Amazing how it doesn't lose its effectiveness. I mean, sometimes I feel it more than others while I'm listening, but it never loses its real effectiveness because entrainment isn't entertainment. It's not like you sit down for half an hour and watch an episode of Seinfeld, you laugh your rear end off, and then, you're back to your life after. The real benefits of entrainment happen after you listen. And if you do it regularly, like the brain, like my idea that the brain is a muscle, it will help you to keep it in condition and keep it stronger. And that's the general idea. So let's see here. Okay, I've waited several years to ask you some of these questions. Well, I'm sorry you waited so long, but I'm glad you have the opportunity now to do that. The other one is this. What's your take on how the subconscious mind handles negatives? Drive sober, being good, don't drink and drive, being bad. There's differing views on negative talk. I think when the negative talk, everything that we program into our minds gets programmed in from the outside. When you're born, you don't have any preconceived notions of what beauty is or what rich is or what happiness is, or, it's all about needs and instinct. That's all it is. Everything you learn about things like bad or drive sober, all these things are simply programming that is put into your head. Drive sober, don't drink and drive. They're threatening. And they're intended to be threatening, I think. They're trying to be dramatic. People should know better than to drink and drive, by the way. But the people who these kinds of phrases might have an effect for will be the people who don't know better than to drink and drive. And some of those will be affected by this in that way. The problem with our society is a lot of it is fear-based. So when you hear don't drink and drive, that's like a threat. Like something's going to happen to you bad if you do. And the truth is, there's a pretty good chance that something bad will happen to you if you drink and drive. So, or be good. Because again, that's also a threat that something's going to happen if you're not good. The problem with fear-induced behavior is it's not natural. And it creates a negative field, if you will, around the individual. I prefer to be more positive in my way of doing things. When I was a kid and I drank, my parents would say, look, if you have a couple of drinks, don't come home. Stay at your friend's place. Just give us a call. Back then they didn't have texting. So just give us a call and let us know you're staying over. So that was not fear. That was, well, don't, if you drink, you can drink, that's fine, but don't drive. That's what it's telling me. But it's telling me in a loving family way as opposed to threatening me or fear. A lot of what happens is, you'll notice in an election that a lot of politicians will try to instill fear in you that if you do not do what I tell you to do, this is going to happen. Can be a motivator to stop doing things, but usually it causes the exact opposite. If you don't want someone to think of something, tell them not to think of it. You don't want someone to do something, tell them don't do it. It's just natural human tendencies to revolt, to go against what is being told. So I'm not really into the whole fear process. With the triliminals, it's all about you are, it is. And the reason for that is because that's how we learn. We don't learn from inside. By the time something is I am, it doesn't need to be an affirmation because you feel I am. If you know I am isn't accurate or isn't real, I'm not rich, I'm not healthy, I'm not this, I'm not that, then you know you're lying. It actually is a negative and it hurts you. It holds you back and it keeps you from developing. So the whole I am theory in my mind is complete balderdash. I'd rather use a different word, but I haven't used balderdash in ages. So there you go. But at any rate, that's my view on that. So, okay. Clarification from Craig. Some research thinks the don't phrase is interpreted as do. I kind of went into that. Unless the conscious mind steps in. The drinking subject was an example. Yeah, that I can understand that. But again, I still say that, negative is negative for a reason. Negative kind of means not good. And that's not good in every respect. And just because you may or may not get some of the desired results, you don't get the desired results from the people you really need it from. For instance, there are gun laws. And people, interestingly enough, people who obey the law wouldn't go against these gun laws anyway. Gun laws do not stop people from, using them improperly if they're not going to obey the law anyway. That's why I think, my opinion about guns, I guess I won't get into it just in case there's some NRA people out here. But, in my opinion, you take away the problem, then you don't have a problem. Or you take away what helps substantiate the problem, you don't have a problem. Cigarette smoking, I have an easy way of stopping people from smoking, but that'll never happen because, like overall as a race, because there's too much money, I guess, in it, and people care more about money than health and other people, not myself. If it was up to me, I would do something very simple. I would give everyone who currently smokes a license to smoke. And nobody else can smoke, ever. And after 50, 60 years, when nature has taken its course, there'll be no one smoking anymore. Smoking is a habit. That's all it is. It's not important. And I can, if someone's listening to this and their back gets up because they want a cigarette now, that just goes to show you, right? It's the nervous tension that creates the desire. If the desire wasn't there because the object wasn't there, you wouldn't get the desire. You wouldn't want to smoke. Think of the healthcare costs that could drop. And think of the research that could go into other things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and AIDS and cancer and everything else that could actually be cured maybe, because we don't have to spend so much money on treating people because they choose to make themselves sick by smoking. It's strange. Anyway, if any of you out there smoke, I'm not saying anything against you because I think you were kind of drawn into it the same way I was when I was younger. I'm just stating a generalization here. So, okay, let's see. Using remember instead of don't forget, not so much of a fear process. Sure, remember, think, be, allow. There's a lot of words that, I tend to choose words in my research and when I do things that helps people to help themselves. I don't want to be adversarial. I would rather you interpret what I say into your own frame of reference. So I try to create scripts that allow for you to reinterpret anything I say. A lot of things I say you may not agree with, but because of the way they're, delivered to you in the triliminals as an example, they get through to your subconscious, which then rewords it into a manner that makes sense to you. And that's what you end up acting on. That's one of the advantages to the triliminals because it allows you to do that subconsciously. It takes what I say, goes, I don't really care for what he's saying there, but this makes more sense to me. And your brain just naturally does that because of the way the beats are initiated, because of the way the sounds and the voices are mixed together, and the order of the phraseology also. It's all designed to help you to help yourself. Okay, your Craig says you're absolutely, thank you, Craig. You're absolutely correct. Smoking is a social habit. It's not actually an addiction. I've got way too much to back this for a program. Fair enough. All right, so let's see. We've been going 40 minutes on this particular version. I think we went about 27 minutes on the other one. So that takes us about an hour and 10 minutes. Are there any other questions, comments, or concerns? If there are, I'm happy to stick around. One of the things I'm very proud of actually is in the past, when we were using Instant Teleseminar, I actually did one of these calls for over 5 hours. And I did it because we had done a product launch and there were nonstop questions and questions and questions. And I pride myself on the fact that I will not leave a call or an event with leaving somebody hanging without them having the ability to get their question, comment, or concern answered. So, how about I give you folks about 30 seconds or so, if you have anything you want to scramble down there, to type in and let me know what you want, and I'll be happy to get to it. Otherwise, I want to thank you for sticking around and for following me. It looks like a few other people just joined in, so I was just kind of leading up to the end of this call. But for those of you that just, that's all, folks. For those of you that just showed up, if you have any questions, I'll stick around a couple of minutes and let you ask them, give you time to type in your question and answer them for you. So let's see here. Thanks for your time. I kept hoping others would jump in with some questions. Well, Craig, it's interesting. I've had some calls with like 20 people where a bunch of people participate. I've had calls like this where there's 4, 5, 6, 7 people, and one person basically keeps me going. So I'm very grateful to that. And you know what? If the other people weren't really participating that much, that's okay too, because they were here to get whatever came through. And I'm a rather talkative guy too. I can certainly come up with things to talk about and fill an hour. I like to keep going for at least an hour because that gives enough content for people that if they want to download it, if they want to play it in their car while they're driving to work and back, they might be able to hopefully get some insights, some ideas, some concepts that they can use to help themselves. So I see actually now there's 8 people on. This is almost the the record for the second best record. I guess it's third best now. I'm bragging, okay, about having 20 people on a call. Okay, it looks like we do have someone new on the line here. We have Coach 5. Hey, Coach 5, nice of you to join us. Thanks for your time. I kept hoping others would jump in with some questions. I already answered that question. Okay, or actually read that. How do you feel the 2 million subliminals, do they work? Okay, so let's see here. I don't understand, how do you feel the 2 million subliminal, do they work? I don't create anything, okay, without actually making sure they work. So if you're talking about my subliminals, yes, the ones with over 2 million, repetitions of affirmations throughout an hour of playing, yeah, of course they work. As a matter of fact, there are studies that show that even if you know you're listening to subliminals and you know the messages are beneficial, they will likely help you. Add that to the concept that I am a neuroscientist and I have created these things based on my understanding of the human brain and perception, you can bet that they're going to help you. Okay. But again, they help you to help yourself. So I do believe that they have a big help. They can be played in the background. They can do anything. It's actually really nice the way that works. Okay. And Coach Fife says, good, I love them. Well, you love them because they're helping you to help yourself. I appreciate your sharing that. Joe, awesome, Morey. So happy you're on YouTube. Thanks, Joe. Oh, you know what? That kind of inspires me. I've been playing. I see there's 8 of you watching, and I'd like to get 8 votes if I can. Yes or no to this question. I have been thinking of doing a segment on YouTube called A Minute with Morrie. Now, if you have a better name with that, or for that, that would be great. But I'm thinking about A Minute with Morrie. Okay, not Thursdays. It won't be on Thursdays, but it'll be A Minute with Morrie. And the idea behind it is that I give, for the first 30 seconds, I give yeah, that's cute, Jim. That's true. It's a challenge. It's a challenge. But anyway, here's the concept. The concept is that I used to do a radio show. And for those of you that want to hear my top episodes, I did one out of KAZM in Sedona, Arizona. And it was a half-hour show. And the first half of the show, I discussed and identified an issue. The second half of the show, there, now you can see my fingers. The second half of the show, I actually gave things that you could do, exercises, if you will, that could help defeat that issue. So the concept with A Minute with Morrie is to have, like, say, every few days or maybe once a week, a minute with Morrie where the first 30 seconds I identify a problem. The second 30 seconds, I give a single exercise that you can do to help alleviate that issue. What do you think? Do you think anyone would look at it? It obviously wouldn't take me that long to do, maybe, I don't know, a minute. So what do you think? Can I have some votes here? I see there's 9 people on now, so I'd appreciate to get 9 yays or nays. So yes or no. Let's see some comments, folks, please. I've been here to hopefully help you for over an hour now. I'd appreciate it if you got on your keyboards or your I guess touchpads wherever you're doing this, and if you could say yay or nay, that would be good. Okay, yes, anything I do on YouTube, by the way, would appear on this channel. So all you have to do is register for my channel, sign up for my channel, click the bell, and anytime I put up a video, then definitely you would get notified, hey, Morrie Elko has posted a new video. And it might even tell you what it is, Minute with Morrie episode 56 or something. Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but that would be the general idea. A Minute with Morrie. And again, it would be really quick, really fast, just an issue, a way to solve it. And I promise that if you practice these solutions, you would be able to actually go ahead and see changes and benefits. Okay, so let's see here. So far, I've had a few of you respond in a positive way. So something else to busy my day with. I promise I won't forget to do the beta testing also. Let's see. Okay, and the name and the idea sounds great. Okay, so it looks like A Minute with Morrie may actually happen. Let me find a pen here and let me write it down. A Minute with Morrie. Now, I'll tell you why to write it down, right? It just flowed. It came to me. Every aspect just came to me. Except there was one thing missing, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It turned out to be the entrainment initiator, actually. But I used one of my recordings the night before and that morning. And I said, I'm going to know what's missing, because I didn't know what was missing. I knew there was something missing. I just didn't know what it was. So that's what I did. I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to let my brain open up. I'm going to let it happen. I'm going to stimulate my neurons and see what happens. Well, that morning I wake up and I'm in the hypnagogic state. We all know what that's like. You're kind of half awake, half asleep. You feel really cozy. Just that time just before you have to go to the washroom and you go, damn. So that's where I was at. And all of a sudden, I saw myself on a TED Talk. And I'm in the audience, but I'm also on the stage. And I'm giving this whole talk about brain prints and the origin and why they're beneficial and the whole bit. And then I get to the point of what was missing. And I'm intently listening to myself in this dreamy state. What is missing? And I went through the whole entrainment initiator thing, what you need to do, how you need to do it, how it gets prepared, how it gets created, what you do, how do you listen to it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Well, as soon as it was over, of course, there was a round of applause. Probably just me. And I thought to myself, this is amazing. I know what to do now. I can't believe this. I actually know what to do. I feel so good. I'm just going to go back to sleep. And when I get up, I'm going to write all of this down. So I closed my eyes and I felt myself drifting off. And I started laughing out loud. I got out of bed. I went right to my computer. An hour and a half later, I had every facet, every bit and piece written down. I realized as I was falling asleep that I would not remember any of this. Like many dreams many of us have, you remember them at the moment and then minutes later they're gone. Well, I kind of caught myself and I wrote it down. So that's why I wrote this down now, just in case I forgot. So there you go. I thought you might enjoy getting a little insight into my silliness and actually into the creative process of how I come up with some of these programs. So, okay, yeah, let's see. I can only do a minute. That is kind of funny. But that'll be a challenge for me, and I'm going to really enjoy it. So there you go. And it'll be good for you folks too, because look at me rambling and rambling and rambling. I've done 51 minutes on this. We did about 27 minutes on the other. So we're nearing on about an hour and a half. Let's see here. Okay. Again, because they're on YouTube, everything automatically gets saved to the channel. And again, as soon as it's saved to the channel, you would be notified as long as you are subscribed to my channel and you click the little bell icon that's there, because then that'll notify you through email, I believe, that something is on, or maybe through a text message or some kind of a notification on your phone or tablet. Okay, let's see. Good thing this isn't in Florida. You'd find 100 nays in a box outside. Well, I'm a Canadian, but I did follow the American election, so I'm very familiar with all of that going on, yes. I guess there's no one listening or watching this from Florida because I haven't gotten a nay. So I appreciate that, and I will start doing that shortly as well. So I guess we're just about done. Unless I see, while I'm doing my goodbyes, unless I see a question pop up, which I will be more than happy to answer, I would like to take this opportunity to thank everybody for joining me on this talk, and I look forward to the next one next month. I want to take a little opportunity to wish all of our friends in the United States a very happy, healthy, and fulfilling Thanksgiving. And we'll be doing the December call probably a little bit earlier because I don't want to do it too close. Notified as long as you're subscribed to my channel and you click the bell. So I don't see anything new coming in. I would like to take this opportunity once again to thank you all for being here. For those of you that participated and you know who you are, I want to thank you a lot. For those of you that were just here listening, I want to thank you too, because believe it or not, I feel all of your energy. It's what keeps me going. I'm not tired at all. I could do this forever. And I thank you all. I wish you all the best. I'm always available at, and let me just write down my email address and my phone number here. So the email is themorriemethod@gmail.com. Oops. Okay, themorriemethod@gmail.com. Or you can reach me at 1-416-876-7939. If you're long distance from there, you can always call me. You can and I'll call you right back. Or you can get me on Skype at Morrie's Elko. So, thanks again. Have an absolutely fantastic night, folks. I want you to know that I appreciate you and I'm here for you. Until next time, I'm Morrie Kovitch. Bye for now.